What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Monday. Hope everybody had a fantastic bye weekend. I know I did. Zach, hope you did as well. Now we're back at it with another game week for the Tennessee Titans, and a very important one as the Atlanta Falcons, the first place Atlanta Falcons, are coming to Nashville 7 days from now after the Titans bye week. The Titans hit at 2-4 and trying to get back in the winning column before the trade deadline that comes up on Halloween, Tuesday, from tomorrow for the NFL trade deadline. The Titans potentially have some decisions to make, and they could be franchise altering decisions around some of the bigger name players in this franchise on this roster who have been carrying the flag in this town. So Rand Carthon, first year on the job, tough year on the job with some of the decisions that he might have to make in the next 7 to 8 days. So Zach, we're going to discuss it and address the Derrick Henry trade rumors that have been floating out there over the last week or so. But welcome in. Hope you've had a good bye weekend. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Watched football all day yesterday, which I would do whether it's the bye week or not the bye week. Had some good games, had some questionable officiating calls. And then last night, in Philly, Miami, the primetime matchup, which all Titans fans got to see A.J. Brown do his thing. So we got Monday Night Football tonight, and the beat rolls on. And Oilers week, throwback week is on the horizon. Right. So some cool stuff coming down the turnpike. We've got you covered here on A to Z Sports. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So get locked in there. On our X/Twitter account, I guess I updated it. I'd had Twitter on my screen since because I had updated my app. What? Now it's switched officially to X.
You're like the last person on earth.
Well, because the app was working fine, and then I finally, I guess, updated because I needed to stream something. So you just go through and update everything. So I'm now I'm now on the X bandwagon. You need to be on the X bandwagon too, and follow our handle at A to Z Sports. We will tweet out our YouTube link segment by segment. Speaking of YouTube, what's going on, YouTubers? If you are on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. We're growing. That's the easiest way to access all of our live videos, clips, press conference, Titans at 2. I mean, we've got everything locked in on YouTube. So subscribe. If you've already subscribed to our YouTube channel, we thank you. Go ahead and like this video. That helps the algorithm, gets more Titans fans involved, and grows our community, and that's what we want. Facebookers, what's going on Facebook? Bottom left corner of your screen, share not a public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing, as we say on this show. So share the show around. And once you share the show, we'll pop up in your Facebook friends newsfeed. That's where we need to be, and we can get this party started on a Monday.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome to the A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm rocking the shirt today because that's typically when BetMGM wins over me on the weekend. But we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. We go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline now for Zach. And also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, keeping you safe online, and get a 2-week free trial with our link, aura.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations, Murfreesboro, Columbia, and Franklin, online at KrebsKubota.com. Zach, there was a lot of active people in the chat on the YouTube waiting room before we went live. MK Zipper Club, Malik Willis just got sacked again. Malik Willis on a bad bye week getting sacked again. People are ready to go here with this Titans team being in the crossroads of 2-4 after a bye week with a game you need to win and the trade deadline approaching on buyer or seller. And Mike Vrabel, who spent his bye week in New England, was asked before he hit his bye week on the trade assets and the potential of what the Titans might want to do after the bye week and before the trade deadline.
Game day roster.
Would you consider trading assets at the deadline and prioritizing a draft pick in next year's draft?
I think we would always consider trying to strengthen the team, whether that's right now, this week, or in the future. Absolutely. Thanks.
Now, I don't know who asked the question. It sounded like a new voice to me, but Mike Vrabel answered that question a lot differently than I think he would have answered that question maybe like 3 weeks prior or 2 weeks prior or 1 week prior, Zach.
Yeah, there was a little spunk in his voice, and he wasn't afraid of it. He wasn't shy. He had his answer, and I think that tells you something. You know, he could have gone, we're concentrating on this season. We're concentrating on today. We're concentrating on trying to coach better and play better. We got to get a win. You know, I mean, he could have done that, but he did not. And I don't know that I look at the inflection of Vrabel's voice for that answer tells me that something may happen.
I'm going to play it again because it was really quick. It was how the question was asked and the words used in the question, and then how Mike Vrabel answered it with a word that I don't think he needed to add, but he decided to add it.
Game day roster.
Would you consider trading assets at the deadline and prioritizing a draft pick in next year's draft?
I think we would always consider trying to strengthen the team, whether that's right now, this week, or in the future. Absolutely. Thanks.
Next year's draft, right? Like that was the question asked, and prioritizing a pick in next year's draft. And Mike Vrabel said, strengthen the team also in the future. Like, absolutely. I thought that was very interesting because I had never seen, Vrabel talk about the future of anything. He's always about right now, right now, right now. But he accepted the question and said, yeah, strengthening the team and down the road could be important too.
Well, I think Mike Vrabel accepts where they are right now. You can't do anything about your record right now. You can win games next week, but they're 2-4. And you mentioned this last week, which is the cold, hard truth. You've got a quarterback decision that you have to make this week on who's going to start, because we all presume that Ryan Tannehill will not be available with that high ankle sprain. Is it going to be Malik Willis or is it going to be Will Levis? And then on the horizon after that Atlanta game, you've got a Halloween trade deadline and a short week on a Thursday night primetime game against the Steelers, who just won in LA.
Road game Thursday night, right? Not just playing down the street, but road game Thursday night after the trade deadline. I did want to get to this comment. Nathaniel says, that sounds like there was a conversation already when Vrabel had that comment on last Monday afternoon after getting back from London. It sounds like they spent that 9-hour flight maybe having a conversation in Nathaniel's mind, which, hey, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We don't know. But we did have some information that our Buck Rising put out this morning about Derrick Henry, because I know Sam and Jack, while I was out towards the end of last week, had a conversation about trade rumors that were flying around for running back Derrick Henry. And so, they did a whole show about Bleacher Report putting out 3 trade proposals or 4 trade proposals for Derrick Henry. Maybe we'll revisit those here in a little bit. But Buck Rising did report this morning on A2ZSports.com. Put more bluntly, the Titans have yet to receive a call regarding an offer for Derrick Henry. That's Buck Rising. He published that at 6 o'clock this morning on A2ZSports.com. So that's a new update there from Buck about Derrick Henry being the one on the trade block. Zach, do you have any thoughts, initial reaction off of that report from Buck today?
Well, we knew before the season you had the Bayard off-season drama that was asking to take a pay cut. You had Derrick Henry going into the last year of his contract. You had Ryan Tannehill going into the last year of his contract. And then you had DeAndre Hopkins sign a 2-year deal and pay more money to a wide receiver than, well, it's less money than they were willing to pay A.J. Brown, but it's still a lot of money. Here's where I think this is a huge factor, and it's where you are currently in the season. Austin, they're 2-4. I don't think I've said it this early in the season before, but Austin, if they go to 2-5, they're not going to make the playoffs. Because if you look at the AFC, you're not going to catch Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is a much better team. Now, they've got a more difficult schedule down the road, right? Because they won the division last year. They're playing a first-place schedule. The Chiefs are 6-1. They're going to make the playoffs, right? The Dolphins and the Bills, they're probably going to make the playoffs. Those are really good teams. And then you have the AFC North, which is a little shook up. Because the Colts lost yesterday, the Browns vault up. The Ravens are playing at a really good clip. And the Bengals have gotten out of their early season slump and have kind of righted some of their ways with Joe Burrow. The Titans are sitting at the bottom of the league, essentially, right? And the league being, let's just talk about the conference, the AFC. You're 2-4 off of a bye. Austin, you're 2-5. You are really going to have to look a long time a short time in the mirror after the Atlanta game, because you're not going to have a lot of time. That's why I agree with you on that plane ride back from England. I think they sat there and said, let's take a look at the state of the franchise. Where are we right now? And what are our assets realistically that could come back and that realistically could not return? I think the emergence of Tajay Spears is huge in this decision mid-season to possibly get rid of the face of your franchise, the most recognizable person in the state of Tennessee is Derrick Henry. I mean, that's Derrick Henry. It's not Joe Milton. It's not anybody in Memphis. It's not John Morant because he's sitting out 25 games for carrying a gun a couple of times. This is Derrick Henry. And if you're going to trade him away, your franchise is in a completely different state at possibly 2-5 without 22.
Yeah, we knew going into the game against the Ravens, there was a massive difference between 3-3 and 2-4 going in the bye. There is an even bigger difference in 3-4 and 2-5. And I think if you get to 3-4, it's okay, right? Like, it's okay. Just take deep breath. It's okay. 3-4, you're alive. 2-5, yeah, you're in a way.
I think your goose is cooked.
I think you're in a world of hurt at 2-5.
I'm not going to be able to do, and I don't know. We'll talk about tomorrow, but I know what I think I'm going to say tomorrow before my week is done. 2-5 is scary, and Mike Vrabel at 2-5. You're also 7 games from last season. Your record starts to stack up.
Yeah.
And your losses start to stack up.
Well, Zach, I don't know what you're going to say tomorrow. I don't know what you're going to say here in about 2 minutes, but after we ask this question, but let's go ahead and ask it to the audience. Should the Titans try to trade Derrick Henry? Should the Titans try to trade away running back Derrick Henry, face of the franchise, future Hall of Famer Derrick Henry? Should they try to trade away the king? But first, let me tell you guys about Krebs Kubota. They should be your elite Kubota dealer and your equipment provider in Middle Tennessee. They've been serving Middle Tennesseans for all of your equipment needs for over 18 years. If you've got land, if you've got projects to do on that land, which if you have land, you have projects. Those things go hand in hand. And then you need Krebs Kubota because they have 3 great locations across the mid-state, Columbia, Murfreesboro, and in Franklin, that can supply you with the best equipment and the best services to get those projects taken care of efficiently, cost-effectively, and well at a high level. Because Krebs Kubota is an elite Kubota dealer, they have the best equipment in the industry with the Kubota line. They also have the best warranties in the industry, with what Kubota provides as well, and the best customer service with the Krebs family name and their longevity of doing this in Middle Tennessee. Check them out at 3 locations, Murfreesboro, Columbia, Franklin, online, KrebsKubota.com.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. After the worst day I've had sports betting a week ago Sunday, I had a pretty damn good day yesterday. And Austin, you saw a couple of those bet slips.
I did.
Had some parlays hit. Thank you to BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. They are the king of sports books.
Also, shout out Kentucky for legalizing sports betting. So I got to do that in my cabin weekend. That was a fun realization. All right,
it's always tough going to Texas.
Yeah,
my itch doesn't get scratched.
Yes, for sure. All right, so should the Titans try to trade away running back Derrick Henry? Should the Titans try to trade away running back Derrick Henry? Zach, I'll send you the chat, but Buck Rising this morning on A to Z Sports.com wrote this and put it more bluntly. The Titans have yet to receive a call regarding an offer for running back Derrick Henry. So, Zach, what's the chat have to say? Should the Titans try to trade away running back Derrick Henry?
Now, we asked this question because I think this is a crucial moment. You're going to know a lot more information a week from now, right? But right now, what do the fans feel? I was very interested to hear what the chat was going to say. And I got this wrong because overwhelmingly they are riding with the king no matter what. Ashley comes with no. Titans Kyle, no. Hell no from Jags. Got Juice. Kenny Hill, hell no. Luman, no. Deborah, no. Chris Johnson saying, get rid of Tannehill. I don't think you're going to be able to do that. Wilbur says yes. Hell no from Bald and Bearded. Hell no from Mr. Jones. No from Ron. I love him, but yes. So there's David coming in with yes. No from Top Tier. Tighten Up says no. Major Keys, no, not worth it. Nick says no. F no from Michigan Titan. Not unless they're rebuilding. And I think
that's what we're asking there, Linwood. Come on.
Right? That's where the 3 and 4 versus the 2 and 5 conversation comes in, and we don't know what they're going to be. F no coming in from Johnny. They should not. James says no. They should let him finish his contract. Steven says no. J-Rum says no. JR says no. Pistol says nope. If we lose, I'll understand. There's an ifs and buts, beer and nuts right there from Michael Snyder. Actually, not the worst idea I've heard, though. Vrabel has a thing for Tannehill. Tannehill would have to go to afford it. Tannehill's not going to go. His trade value is damn near zero. There's not quarterback needy teams, and his contract is extremely high at close to $30 million a year. So Tannehill is not even, I don't even think in the conversation. No. We talked last week about, and we don't know the extent of the injury, but depending on what the quarterback decision is this week and moving forward, you could place Tannehill on IR to save some money, just straight cash for the future.
And while we're on the Tannehill topic, Zach, you asked me going into that Doc Talk segment from last week, can you have the tightrope surgery multiple times on the same ankle? And the answer, look, if you missed Doc Talk, go watch it. I'm going to tell you the answer. I'm not just going to tease you like that, though. But no, the answer is you don't need to have it again. And the irony in what this is that Ryan Tannehill should theoretically, hypothetically, scientifically heal faster this year because he had that surgery a year ago. Because the point of that surgery is to tighten and bring together the two leg bones. When you have a high ankle sprain in the ligament, it gets loose, right? You do the tightrope surgery to pull those bones together with buttons. And so if it does it again, you put him in a cast, which the Titans did. Remember that report that he was in a cast last week? That really immobilizes the leg. And really all you're waiting to heal, you're waiting for the tightrope suture to scar. And it scars faster the more immobilized it is. And so ideally, he could be back faster after that second tightrope surgery, because of the tightrope surgery. You do not have a second tightrope surgery because you're having to drill an even bigger hole in that bone. It's not the biggest bone in the world. And you know this, if you're trying to drive a nail into some wood, you don't want to split wood, just like you don't want to split bone and a, skinnier bone, more likeliness to split. Now you have a big problem. So Tannehill could actually be back quicker than he was a year ago because of this injury and the tightrope surgery from last December.
And where are the Titans going to be record-wise when that decision is made?
Because 4 weeks is the game.
Are you 2-8?
No,
3-7.
4 weeks from the injury is the game against the Bucks. Are you 2-6 or are you 3-5? Are you 4-4? Right? That's kind of the situation there. Because do you beat the Falcons? Can you beat the Steelers?
But Austin, here's the other curveball. Who got you to that point? If Will Levis has won 2 games up to that point,
absolutely fair.
There is no decision with Ryan.
What does it look like? Right? Does it look like Malik Willis beating the Texans because they ran for 350 yards? And they no, or does it actually look like the quarterback's making plays for you?
Well,
Totally.
with Will Levis, I don't think it matters. I think that you just if when and if I guess if and when the Titans decide to go with Will Levis, Malik Willis is cooked. He's done, right? You've now actions have spoke louder than your words. You have drafted over Malik Willis, and you have now played a quarterback over Malik Willis. Malik Willis is going to be a backup somewhere else, and they're going to ride. So a lot of factors. That's why we bring this up. But I was surprised, Austin, with the chat.
Yes.
I did not know it was going to be that strong of no, 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 hell no, hell no, hell no. And I think a lot of that is because they're not 2-5. They're still 2-4 and could be 3-4. So the season could be salvaged. They hadn't crossed that threshold yet.
Right. And there's so I'm going to ask you in a second, but the NFL trade deadline was moved back several years ago, and these younger new wave of general managers are using it more, but they're not using it at the deadline. This isn't the NBA or Major League Baseball or hockey when trade deadline day is absolute chaos, like, the tampering period in March. No, they've moved it back. So like last week and this week are more active. And you started to see once we flipped into October, trades were happening early in the season. And so I think the trade window is wide open. The deadline is a week. So Zach, I'll ask you the question. Do you think the Titans should try to trade away Derrick Henry?
I think that they should try. I don't think that they should or will. That is my stance. I think Rand Carthon has an asset that he needs to understand and figure out his value. And if it's not good enough, Derrick Henry's too important to the franchise. You've got to kind of do right by Derrick Henry. You also have to do right by your franchise because Rand Carthon, that's his job. But that is the tightrope. Speaking of tightrope surgery, that's the tightrope you got to walk.
Yeah.
Because your new general manager, you don't really have any affinity for Nashville and Tennessee yet. Rand Carthon can wear T's on his hat. Doesn't matter. He just got to town. But you got to do right by the fan base and earn that trust. And there's a little PR in that, Austin. And I'm going to bring up something that I know is a sore subject for this fan base in this chat. And that is A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is trending to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
It's too early to say that yet.
I said he's trending to be.
I
don't think it's too early. He is trending to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Whether you like it or not, he is trending to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
There's so many Hall of Fame, like that position is the hardest position to get in, though. just to be blunt.
He is trending in that direction.
Okay.
He is doing things that not normal wide receivers do. And he's been doing that consecutively.
For sure.
I digress. The trade of a potential future Hall of Fame asset has scorned this fan base. And it scorned me. I was upset and pissed off because I thought that was the worst decision. And you know me, I said that the Titans should have drafted A.J. Brown in October before they even drafted him, before it was a gleam in their eye. Then they drafted it and it worked out so damn well. And then they got stingy. And John Robinson, who I saw a comment earlier, I don't think John Robinson is laughing. I think John Robinson probably lives with some regret because that singular decision made his dream job, which was being the general manager of the team that he grew up cheering for, or essentially, being home. He now no longer has a general managing job in the NFL, which are hard to come by. Only 32 of those. If you trade away Derrick Henry, it has not been long enough that I think that you are going to have a lot of blowback from the fan base if Derrick Henry has any sort of success. Here's the one thing that I think Rand Carthon, and it goes back to the report that we'll bring back up, that Buck and others, the Titans have yet to receive a call regarding an offer for Henry because I don't think Derrick Henry is that valuable to other teams right now.
Look, I'll get to that, but just for all the people in the chat that think I'm hating on AJ Brown because I don't think I think it's too early to say he's trending as a
I
Hall
think
of
that
Fame.
that's dead wrong. I think
No,
what you've said
I
is
think
absolutely
no.
dead wrong.
This has nothing to do with AJ Brown. This has everything to do with what it takes to get into the Hall of Fame as a receiver. Like it's
Wrong.
the
It
whole.
does have to do
No,
with AJ Brown and what he's
no,
trending on what he's done,
no.
what he's
I'm not
done,
talking,
and
but
what he's doing.
no, again, that's not what I'm saying here. And thanks, Sawyer said Jimmy Smith isn't even a Hall of Fame. Jimmy Smith has over 12,000 receiving yards and was a stud for the Jags for a long time, was all pro, Pro Bowler, all that stuff. He's not in the Hall of Fame. My point is, it's really hard to get into the Hall of Fame as a receiver, and AJ Brown is still a little too young to say that he's a future Hall of Famer or trending towards it. Is he playing at an all-pro level? Is he one of the biggest dogs and badass dudes in the league? Yeah. Is he tied?
He has been since he entered the league.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that we can't live in hyperbole and just throw future Hall of Famer or trending like a Hall of Famer yet. He's got to get there. Like
BS. I absolutely can say that.
Okay.
And I will say that because he is
fine.
trending to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. I didn't say that he is. I said he is trending to be.
Okay.
Do you know what the trend is? Trending. It's not is. It is trending.
I'm just clearing that up. My point is, I am not hating on AJ Brown for that. I'm talking about
you're just saying that I can't say something that is actually pretty
too early
true.
for that. But anyway, he's playing at an all-pro level. He is playing like he is the best wide receiver in the game. He's making plays that Tyreek Hill dropped last night. Like that. This is not an AJ Brown show. But again, that's all I wanted to clear up. So I'll answer the question on this Derrick Henry thing. We've also got a really good question from somebody in the chat that I think is warranted to discuss. But first, Zach, tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Farm Bureau Health Plans is trending to be your next health plan.
Now,
that's the damn truth.
Not too early to say that.
And nobody should tell you otherwise. And nobody should try to muzzle you or shut you up when you say or think that Farm Bureau Health Plans can and will be your next health plan, because it is trending in that direction. And why is that trending in that direction? Because just like Farm Bureau Health Plans, it catches the tough passes over the middle and down the field. And it helps you when you're in a bind and you need that deep ball to go up by 14 and seal a win over a really good opponent. Farm Bureau Health Plans can do that, because if you take and when you take a health assessment, they're going to give you an outstanding quote. That's what they do. They trend, and they do that all the time. They did that with me, and I made that decision on my health, dental, and vision. They've got 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. AJ may not live in Tennessee, but if you live in Tennessee, you can trend to have this health plan. They've been doing it for over 75 years. That's good history. Just like AJ Brown's history from when he entered the league to where he is now is trending on that path, you can trend as well. FBHP.com/A to Z. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise from going to that website and checking it out and getting your new health plan today.
I mean, I'm 100% co-sign on that. But first, BetMGM, make them your sports book of preference. I was in Kentucky over the weekend. Still got to use my BetMGM app. Loved that. Had some dubs on college football Saturday, some L's on pro football Sunday, but that's okay. You can win big when you sign up with BetMGM with our bonus code ATOZ Sports. That's ATOZ Sports to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only, new customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualifications, other requirements. First online real money wager. Only rewards issued on bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. So Zach, we showed this report from Buck a few times. The Titans have yet to receive a call regarding an offer to trade for Derrick Henry. So we asked the question, should the Titans try to trade Derrick Henry? My answer is no. And my answer is not because of PR and not look that I think, yes, I agree with what you said about the good equity that needs to be built and repaired and continue to be massaged with the fan base. Apathy is a word that I am terrified of when it comes to fan bases in sports. Apathy is the worst thing you can have. You can have the excitement, you can have pissed off, you can have humiliated, you can have all those emotions that represent care But as soon as apathy comes in, the team is in deep trouble. And I think trading away Derrick Henry would allow for apathy to creep into a lot of Titans fans' hearts when it comes to this franchise. My reason why I do not think the Titans should trade Derrick Henry is because I think Derrick Henry would help whichever of these young quarterbacks is going to get the majority of the starts and the reps moving forward. Because we saw the stat from Sports Info Solutions last week that Ryan Tannehill with Derrick Henry on the field is so much better than when Derrick Henry's off the field. Now, yes, nuance, 3rd and long, that does matter, that when 3rd and long happens, it's easier to have less success passing than it is to have success passing when it's 1st and 10. We all know that. But Derrick Henry can help Will Levis or Malik Willis, whoever is the future of this team and whoever is going to be the starter for the rest of the season. So that's why I think keeping Derrick Henry is actually important for right now, on top of, what is his trade value? I don't necessarily think there's a lot of great trade value. Like this is what Bleacher Report was throwing out there, saying the Titans can get Devin Duvernay and a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick for Derrick Henry from the Baltimore Ravens. There's no way in hell the Ravens are giving that. There's no way in hell the Buffalo Bills are giving up 2 picks, or the Bengals or the Eagles. Like there's no way that a 2nd-round pick is going to come back this year for Derrick Henry.
Well, and he was drafted in the 2nd round. So you've drafted a 2nd-round player, you've had his career, and you've gotten a 2nd round back, right? Now, it has to be the right team, and I think we both agree that it is going to be difficult to find said team. And I think that's because of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a certain type of running back that an offense is going to have to adapt around. And I think that's going to be very hard because the number of teams that you're talking about shortens. And so you got to find that perfect suitor. I'm not surprised by the report that teams have not come calling, because I think other teams think that same way, is we'd have to change, and that may derail some things.
Yes. Now, I do think what the teams that Bleacher Report threw in here, those are 4 teams that I think would make the most sense out of the other 31 teams in the league. But still, like, if the Titans are going to get a day 3 pick for Derrick Henry, it's not a 2nd, not a 3rd. It'll be a 4th or later. And if that's the case,
you should not trade Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Now the Titans have an interesting situation because they don't have a 3rd round pick, because they use that to move up for Will Levis. They have 6 total picks. 3 of them, half of their 6 picks are 7th rounders. So you need draft capital. Like that is a thing. The Titans do not have a lot of quality draft capital in 2024. The good thing is they have a bunch of salary cap space with all these players potentially coming off the books. But I don't think Derrick Henry is worth moving on for a 4th round pick at the highest. Now,
that's why I answer the question. Should you try? Yes, I believe that you should try, but if you don't get your value, you should not. Right?
I don't think I don't think they should try. Grant. Just to kind of reset, I don't think they should try, because I think Levis or Willis, whoever it is, needs Derrick Henry to make their life a little easier.
Let me play devil's advocate here, because I don't disagree with that notion based on statistics and what we've seen. But I'm going to put Malik Willis aside. The guy's not very good. So let's just talk about the future and Will Levis, and then we'll get to some comments, some super chat comments, because I have seen those start to
and they're good. The super chats, these aren't like Big Ten Jeff super chats. These are like good super chats.
Shots fired on a Monday. What about expediting the process of Tajay Spears and Will Levis? What Tajay Spears does give a young quarterback is a check down option, which is very valuable. Derrick Henry is less check downable. That's just the facts. He's less check downable than Tajay Spears.
His check downable rating on Madden is not very high.
Right? And no, it's not. Now, on screen passes or plays that are set up for him to catch the football, that's different. But I'm talking about check down Charlie. If you watch young or inexperienced quarterbacks, they tend to check the football down. Kenny Pickett did that quite a bit. Now, he had some good throws yesterday in LA, but you saw him do that. You've seen other quarterbacks, that's kind of their safety net. You are arguing, which I don't completely disagree with, that Derrick Henry's run game is the safety net to protect Will Levis. And I could argue that Tajay Spears, who's going to be in a Titans jersey longer from this day forward than Derrick Henry, could also be a help to Will Levis.
Yeah. Derrick Henry in the pass catching game is kind of comparable to another Alabama All-American. Just catch it and run like Forrest Gump. Catch, run to the end zone is what Derrick Henry is like catching passes. Let's go to some super chats. Kane, this is what I wanted to bring up earlier. How would trading some of the best players help you now, especially since y'all have said Vrabel wants to win now? So let's play what Vrabel had to say last week. And I'm going to keep Kane's comment up there through this because here's what Vrabel said last week.
Game day roster.
Would you consider trading assets at the deadline and prioritizing a draft pick in next year's draft?
I think we would always consider trying to strengthen the team, whether that's right now, this week, or in the future. Absolutely. Thanks.
Would trading away Derrick Henry help this team in the future? I kind of feel like is what Kane is asking.
Depending on what they would get back, yes. If they felt like a second-round pick for Derrick Henry is going to help the team in the future, that could be their justification.
And Nathaniel follows up with, would you trade Henry for a third?
No. I'm going to be – I said yes because I think you should try. But it's kind of that you're probably not going to offer me enough. I'm looking for a king's ransom. There's a throwback to old J-Rob. I think that they'll probably be seeking more than what Henry is probably actually valued at for the Titans team. You got to remember, the value of the league is different than the value of the Tennessee Titans franchise. And so I don't think that I'd be surprised if a team actually offered them what they need to move on from Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it would have to be a third and a fifth, but I don't see that being a realistic option there either. So more super chats from you guys. Nathaniel with another one says, why is it negative as a fan to see the writing on the wall and support a rebuild? I think it's okay to accept the rebuild when it happens. I don't think fans should root for a rebuild to start early, which I think we've been in that.
Let's separate rebuild. I have the answer.
Okay.
Off-season rebuild is different than in-season rebuild, right?
Yeah,
because you now know you are who you are for this year. The Titans are not going to win the Super Bowl this year. Woo, 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 woo. Sound the alarm. They're not winning. News, okay?
Dun, dun, dun.
But it doesn't mean that they can't get experience, especially at the quarterback position, to help their off-season rebuild. Because once you have a second-year quarterback in Will Levis and no longer an experienced veteran under center, you're in a completely different state than you once were. So I think it's a valid question, but that's the difference. The Titans, and especially Mike Vrabel, refused to publicly admit, and their actions said this too, that they did not want to rebuild in the offseason. The Panthers, they admitted that. The Texans, they had admitted that, in years past. The Titans are trending. They wanted to bridge the gap between a playoff team, a rebuilding team, and a Super Bowl contending team. They're just going to have to do that in the middle of the season because of Tannehill's injury.
Yeah, if you ever wonder what the phrase of have your cake and eat it too means, the 2023 Tennessee Titans are exactly that, right? They tried to do both things at the same time, and they are missing. So Andre says this is why the rebuild should have started in the offseason instead of spinning wheels. Logic told us that. Why did the coaches take so long to realize things? It's because the coaches have, they want to have playoff seasons on the resume. They want to have wins on the resume. The coaches are attached to the direct success of their teams. And that's until you win a Super Bowl, you're always going to have that ugly season record on your resume.
And here is the other reason. They had seen Tannehill, Henry, and a good wide receiver work before, right?
Yeah.
So what did they try to do in the last year of Tannehill and Derrick Henry's contract? Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and a good wide receiver. They went out and got DeAndre Hopkins. Unfortunately, that system hasn't worked up until now. And Tress brings this up. He says they've got so much money next year, which is true. This team isn't far from competing. Self-inflicted wounds show how bad this roster is right now. Do you agree with that last statement? Because I think that's kind of the forefront.
Yeah, I think the margin of error is so bad, and that's because they're not a good, experienced roster. That bad players make mistakes. When you have more bad players, they make more mistakes, and that limits, that's why you can't have a hold in the red zone or you're toast. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I completely agree. This is a very funny comment. Made me actually laugh in my own head when I scroll back up to find it. Oh no, where'd it go? Somebody asked us, do we think the Super Bowl window is closed? Yes. I think the Super Bowl window is absolutely closed. I think whoever commented that actually deleted it after the fact. Is why I can't find
whoever that was. I'll tell you when it closed.
Joey Watts. I hope this is like in sarcasm. Like, so do you think the Super Bowl window is closed? That's what I hope Joey asked.
Joey, I am Zach Bingham. Nice to meet you. The Super Bowl window closed when Ryan Tannehill threw his third interception in the playoff divisional round against Joe Burrow's Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
That was when this particular window shut. That exact moment. I reacted and essentially said that at the postgame show, but that we can now, it's unique to actually look back and say when it was. That is when I believe that it happened.
I don't know. I'll say it closed when they trade away AJ. I think if they would have kept AJ Brown, I don't think it would have turned. We wouldn't have thought it was over.
Here's where
it hurt.
Here's where it's bigger.
It was close
Austin, it's Ryan Tannehill not proving to himself that he can do it. Performance was mentally, I think, super impactful.
Yes.
On why I say when it was and why it was.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was definitely the casket was closing, and then the trading away of AJ Brown was the nail.
Was stupid.
Right? Yeah, and also stupid. Juan says, I don't want the Titans to rebuild unless they have an offensive-minded head coach. I've seen enough of Vrabel to know it's not enough. Bring on Bieniemy. Look, hey, that's a topic for a different day. My goodness. Thank you for your super chat. That is a hell of a conversation to have. All right. So the title of today's show, addressing Derrick Henry trade rumors and two other Titans receiving interest. So we haven't gotten to the two other Titans yet through 43 minutes because we've had a really good conversation. So we're going to get to those two other Titans receiving interest in trade conversations around the league. But first, let me tell you guys about Aura. Aura is where you should turn to keep your information safe online. Aura is one of our sponsors, and they've done a great job for me protecting my information and not allowing spammers and telemarketers to profit off of having my information and trying to make money off of scamming me, right? Nobody wants to be scammed. Everybody gets annoyed when you see your phone ring and it says possible spam, or it's your area code and you pick it up and it's somebody asking you about your car warranty. Aura protects your information. They identified 30 data brokers that had my information when I signed up with Aura, and within 5 or 6 days, they ripped my information away from all 30 of those data brokers, and they continue to protect my info. They also help me out with password management and protection, credit and identity theft monitoring as well. And you can get a 2-week free trial with our sponsor, Aura, by using our link only, aura.com/ATOZ. That's our link, aura.com/ATOZ for a 2-week free trial.
A to Z Sports, we are powered and driven by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. If you are 21 years or older or in the state of Tennessee, you can take part just like Austin and I have taken part. You got Monday Night Football tonight coming down, and you got baseball. The Rangers are staying alive. I've watched some playoff baseball. There's been some good playoff baseball in these championship series. So you got the Phils and D-backs and the Snakes coming back tonight. You could get in on the action there. Download the BetMGM app in your Apple or Android app store.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the report from Buck saying the Titans have not received a call regarding a trade offer for Derrick Henry. Diana Rossini at The Athletic had over the weekend that 2 other Titans had trade interest. She did add the Titans need draft capital and have been getting calls from GMs over the last few days. She said, I haven't found the team showing significant interest in Derrick Henry, but Buck said no calls have been made about Henry. But sources around the league tell Diana Tennessee has received calls about safety Kevin Byard, and one team reached out about wide receiver Treylon Burks. Now, Rossini finishes with saying, I don't get a sense Tennessee will move any young player, which would remove Treylon Burks from a tradable asset for the Titans. But Zach, I'll let you react to Diana's report that team has called about Kevin Byard and then Treylon Burks.
Kevin Byard can still play. He is a reliable veteran. He's a leader. He comes in there. He's a great locker room guy. And he's been on the same franchise that drafted him and has not gotten to a Super Bowl. Also, the offseason drama of the team asked the player to take a pay cut, and he declined. That got some things stirring around. So it makes sense from an outsider's perspective of why teams would want Kevin Byard. Treylon Burks, it would not be smart for the Titans to trade Treylon Burks because his asset is not at an all-time high. It's at a question mark. Now, if the Titans in their heart of hearts don't believe that Treylon Burks can be that first-round pick that they drafted him to be, and he hasn't up until this point. He's had injury after injury. He's caught, some passes, and some of the injuries weren't his fault. Can't do anything about that. But you are what your record shows you are. You are how many games you play and your production on the field. A.J. Brown is what A.J. Brown is. Treylon Burks, I think it's smart to not say, hey, we're not going to trade Treylon Burks because you have the 5th-year option if you get to that point and he turns a corner.
You can't give up. Yeah.
You also need to help your quarterback, your young quarterback that is going to be playing over the next several weeks. And trading away Treylon Burks is not going to help that. So that was my initial reaction from that. Not surprised about the Byard and not surprised that the Titans aren't interested in moving Burks.
Or any young player, which means that they're not going to, who's a young player that also has value? I mean, Jeffrey Simmons probably falls under young players still.
They just signed.
No, I know. I'm just trying to come up with who else would have
Caleb Farley.
Who else would have value that's a young player is my point. There's not.
Yeah, there's not one.
Chig. I mean, Fulton, I don't know if Amani Hooker is being brought up. Tier Tart is being brought up. So, I mean, there's not Roger McCreary, says David. There are some, they do have some good players that.
Yeah, but those players,
you have to have those. Yeah, you need, I think that's what Diana is saying is that they're not interested in trading some of those young players because they view them as their new core. Now, the Byard thing is interesting because I've seen people on Twitter and social media saying that Kevin Byard has lost a step or he hasn't played very well. He hasn't made a play yet. I don't necessarily think that's Kevin Byard's fault. I think there's just so much going bad around Kevin Byard that he can't play aggressive to go make a play. Kevin Byard has to play cleanup duty and make sure that he is back there to save somebody else's ass. That's why he's not making plays, in my opinion, at least.
I think Kevin Byard has a lot of value. Now, he has a lot of value to the Tennessee Titans, too. Because if Kevin Byard's gone, what does the back half of your defense look like? If Fulton is continuing to make the mistakes, and he played a little bit better than he had, but it's still in him. He still has the ability to drop a coverage. Now you don't have Kevin Byard, who's the leader, probably the second leader of the defense, him and Jeffrey Simmons. I just think your defense is going to take a huge step back without Kevin Byard. But the question that we're about to ask, I think on both sides, I think this is why it's a good question.
Yeah, it is a really tough question. Which veteran would you rather the Titans trade away? because we just talked about Dino Rossini said the Titans have had multiple calls about Kevin Byard and one about Traylon Burks. But we're going to add another veteran, DeAndre Hopkins. Which veteran would you rather the Titans trade away? Kevin Byard or DeAndre Hopkins? I find this interesting, but real quick, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn for any injury in life. I updated you guys earlier on the great Doc Talk conversation we had last week about Ryan Tannehill's ankle. If you're a Georgia fan, you want to learn more about Brock Bowers. If you're an NFL draft junkie and you want to learn about Brock Bowers and his tightrope ankle surgery that he had last week, go check out that Doc Talk conversation right there on our YouTube channel from the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever an injury occurs, whether it's you, your son or daughter playing youth sports, the Bone and Joint Institute has the experts and the facilities to make it easy for you to get back into health. Injuries are a major inconvenience in our life. Let the Bone and Joint Institute help you out. boneandjointtn.org is where to book an appointment.
A to Z Sports, make sure, and this is big because our merch store is moving.
Right.
So you can have the opportunity to 40% off all of our merch. You rock the A to Z Sports shirts. You can rock A to Z Sports hat, 40%. Our merch store is moving. So it's basically a warehouse sale. This is an ability to
it's a
to
bigger
take advantage
sale
of.
than the Titans roster at this point.
Right? Yeah, we're doing the same thing the Titans possibly do. Absolutely, I would say, to quote Mike Vrabel, absolutely. So go to
This is going to make us better long term, right?
shop.azsportsnashville.com, and and all the prices are on sale. There's no promo code, but we're slashing prices right there.
I just posted the link right there in the chat for our gear. Look, once the sizes are gone, they're gone. So we're moving. So hopefully this will be a great transition so they're not stuck in Zach and I's houses. All right. So Zach, I'll send you back to the chat. Which veteran would you rather the Titans trade away? Kevin Byard or DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, Lou Man is thinking about breakfast because he'd rather trade away IHOP. But we'll take that as a D-op. Byard, easier to replace. KB, if it's between those two. Hopkins easily. Titan Fox says Byard. D-hop from Trevor. D-hop from Mark D. Hopkins. Byard from Jay. Byard from Teddy. Byard from Tress every day of the week. Depends on what you can get for each. So David's not really answering the question. Byard from Gannon. Trade them all. Seriously, Jason's having a fire sale, kind of like we are. Let's see. Esco says Byard, not Hopkins from Scott. Jason says KB. Just because I'm a big KB fan, Zoe is probably not going with KB. Byard definitely from Brock. D-Hop from Demetrius. He wants no part of a rebuild. And so I think a little bit split.
Mm-hmm.
Austin, what do you think? D-Hop or Kevin Byard?
This is a really tough question because my biggest reason for not thinking the Titans should try to trade away Derrick Henry is to help whichever young quarterback it is that takes the lead from here on out. DeAndre Hopkins also helps that young quarterback from here on out. But if you move on from Kevin Byard, then that's just a bad feather in Rand Carthon's cap to the fan base.
What do you think they could get for him?
For KB? I mean, have you seen the trade prices though? Have you seen what players have been going for? They're not like great prices. Now, Kevin Byard, I think, would probably be the best player that has been moved to this point. But I mean, a third round pick.
Kevin Byard probably not going to be a Titan next year.
DeAndre Hopkins going to be a Titan next year.
More likely than Byard.
So I'm pulling up their contracts right now. Do you want to go ahead and answer your question?
Well, do you have your answer?
No,
I have my answer, but
okay,
I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm still emotionally contemplating this.
You're in the hot seat.
I have an emotional attachment to Kevin Byard because I predicted the draft pick based on having inside information.
This
And I
business,
feel-
baby, put emotions aside.
I know, but it's really hard. Like this, Kevin Byard's the only like pro football player I feel like I have an emotional connection to because of how it turned out.
I had an emotional connection to AJ Brown. J-Rob ripped that out of my heart.
I
and every
know,
other
I know. And
Am I
then we've
over
seen
it?
how you've been ever
No.
since. So what's your answer?
You have to move on from Kevin Byard, unfortunately. Or DeAndre Hopkins, and if you talked about Derrick Henry earlier, you have to help your offense. If you are now going to shift your new identity in the near future, Austin, if you are a part of the Tennessee Titans franchise, is figuring out what you have at the quarterback position. It's not defensively, it's not safety, it's not corner, it's not linebacker. It is at the quarterback position. DeAndre Hopkins helps Will Levis too much. That's the value. So it's less about and I get, the heartstrings on Kevin Byard.
I mean, I'm playing.
But Kevin Byard's not going to be a Titan next year, I don't believe. I think that ship has sailed. I think Kevin Byard's going to be on a new team. I think Ryan Tannehill's going to be on a new team. And I think Derrick Henry is probably going to be on a new team.
Well, Tannehill and Henry, it's easy because their contracts expire and you just walk away. Now, Kevin Byard, if you don't trade Kevin Byard and you release him, then you pay him or have him count $13 million on your cap to not play for you. If you keep Kevin Byard, you pay him 19.5 in 2024.
And they're not going to do that. The out is next year.
Well, the out
is this offseason. It doesn't make any logical sense. Austin, they've already asked him for a pay cut. The writing is on the wall.
Right? They just restructured it to make it even, again, is Kevin, like, you want to pay or have Kevin Byard count over $13 million to not play for you? That's a lot of money to be in dead cap. Now I get it, right? That 19 is a lot more than 13, but that's saving just like 6.2 million is what it is by cutting him after the season. But here, I'll answer the question. I'm going to get off of it. Bork says Byard has been around as long as A to Z. He's a true OG. Yeah, Kevin Byard has his career and Derrick Henry's career. Their first snap was after we created our own company, right? It's these two guys has been kind of this era.
But we're not going anywhere.
No, we're not going anywhere. You can't get rid of us. We have zero cap constraints with the Titans. But the answer is it's easier to trade away Kevin Byard for public perception because you've also planted the seed back in the spring that there's already been discussions about moving Kevin back then. And so if you do it now, then you're just saying, well, we had already talked about this for 6 months. This was kind of the writing on the wall. We decided to do this. We tried to make it work. It didn't work. Now we're losing. So we trade him away. If you trade away DeAndre Hopkins 4 months after you sign the guy, after you recruited him, regardless of what word Vrabel wants to use for how they recruited DeAndre, if you move him on, that's like your star recruit hitting the transfer portal mid-season. It's just a bad look, right?
Which happens.
Yeah. And it's a bad look on the coaching staff, on the organization. Like if Nico Iamaleava hit the transfer portal right now for Tennessee, it would be the red wedding. It would be the worst thing in the world. If DeAndre Hopkins got moved, it's a bad look on the coaching staff and Rain Carthon for how quickly it fizzled.
I think it would be, and let me be clear, because Nick says Zach wants to help the offense by keeping DeAndre Hopkins, but wants to trade Henry, which does not help the offense. I never said I wanted to trade Henry. The question, and let's go back and solidify the question, is should the Titans try to? I think they absolutely should try. I also said I don't believe that they would be able to, but they should try because he's in the last year of his contract. And I also, Nick, if you were listening, I know you listen every day because I know the name, I know the profile. You also heard me say that it gives Tajay Spears more opportunity. And I think that's valuable because Tajay Spears is going to be in a Titans jersey longer from this period on than Derrick Henry. DeAndre Hopkins can truly help the quarterback situation. And DeAndre Hopkins is going to be here next year, I believe. I think that the Titans will have DeAndre Hopkins in a Titans uniform in 2024.
Well, they do have a potential out this upcoming
They
offseason.
do. I would be surprised if they took that. I just think Kevin Byard, you stated this earlier, Austin, they need draft picks. That's a ability to get a draft pick. You can justify the move, all the things that you kind of mentioned. And Kevin Byard, unfortunately, I think that he's going to have the second half of his career is going to be in another jersey.
Half? I mean, I don't think he's got a half left, but yeah.
The next few years.
Yeah, the last quarter of his career. Who has more value, Byard or Hopkins? Diop showed that he can ball still. Like he is not.
But Byard has. Do you see a lot of like wide receiver hungry teams? Like you already saw Chase Claypool move to the Dolphins. I feel like defensively a safety can come in there, give you a spark, get it on a winning team, and make a big play in the playoffs. That's the justification of, I think, teams trying to trade for Byard more so than trying to trade for DeAndre Hopkins.
I mean, McCole Hardman, who is not anywhere near DeAndre Hopkins, got a 7th round pick in 2025.
Yeah,
Van
that
Jefferson,
was a come home. That was a come home trade.
Well, and so this is just an example of like what the trade prices have been. Van Jefferson, not anywhere near D-Hop, got a 7th round pick, 2025. Claypool was a 6th round pick in 2025. Like Randy Gregory got traded for a 2024 6th round pick. JC Jackson goes back to the Patriots for a 2025 6th round pick. Cam Akers goes to the Vikings for a 2026 conditional pick. Like that's how bad the trade prices are. One trade has been made already this season for an upcoming draft pick.
But Kevin Byard is probably the most legit. I mean, he's all pro. He's Pro Bowl. I mean, he's in a different category than all those guys.
No,
I don't think that it's. I think it's fair to talk about, but Kevin Byard's on a different. He would yield a lot.
I don't disagree, but my point is the trade prices suck. So, like in my opinion, I don't think the Titans should move anybody right now. And look, we talked about
would you move off of Kevin Byard for a 3rd round pick
in 2024? Probably. But
yes,
but
you do.
With what Will said, with what Will Jernigan says, if you're 3-4 at the trade deadline, you aren't selling. If you're 2-5, you absolutely are. I don't think the Titans should make any move this week.
No.
Now, the hard thing is though, you make calls. You say, hey, if we lose because this is Rand, this is not Vrabel, right? Rand's making these calls. Vrabel's coaching in the practice field. Rand's saying, if we lose the Falcons and we're 2-5, what would you take or what would you give for Byard? Right? If we win, it's off, right? 3-4, you're fine. 2-5, you got to start having hard conversations.
And you can't sit Byard because of this, right? Like you're not in that situation.
No, you're trying to beat the Falcons. You want to beat the Atlanta Falcons to get to 3-4.
Yes.
But you have to have contingency plans.
I also want to create Nick, and I'm having a side conversation with Nick. Says Austin shared the stats about how much better a quarterback is with Henry than Spears. That's not what he shared. He brought up how much better Derrick Henry helps the quarterback. Tajay Spears was not involved in any of that statistics. It was not a Spears versus Henry. My point is that Tajay Spears has had a phenomenal. He's had the best backup running back career of any backup running back behind Derrick Henry. Like
the Titans are 2-4, and Tajay Spears has been a massive bright spot.
Yeah, he's scored more touchdowns than Treylon Burks
and DeAndre Hopkins.
Straight facts, homie, and D-Hop, right? So
he scored more touchdowns than everybody but Derrick Henry and NWI.
Robert Woods.
Now Juan brings up.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Juan brings up a super chat. What about Travis Gibson? There's no trade value for Travis Gibson right there. So let's see. Hey, Silas says, got the last large blue A to Z shirt with not the one that Zach's wearing, but the one with the small logo.
Yeah, and
So-
look, we've got some sizes discrepancy. So like there's some things we're sold out of and there's some things that are still in stock. We've got a lot in stock. We got plenty of hats. We got pullovers as it gets colder. We've got t-shirts. Again, 40% off all merch. Shop.A2ZSportsNashville.com. And to be honest, we're not making any money off of this. This is really
not
for the
about
fans.
us making. Yeah.
This is we're moving our merch store and we're getting rid of the warehouse. So if you watch, if you're like Will Evans, who I was going back and forth with, I think that was his name.
Will Jernigan?
No.
Nick Ewing?
Was it Nick Ewing?
Nick.
Yeah, Nick watches the show. I mean, a ton of you guys watch. You can rep. We can disagree. We can fundamentally disagree. I disagreed with Austin and the comment of him trying to muzzle me with the AJ Brown Hall of Fame trend, which is absolutely true. And I guarantee if you polled everybody in this effing country, they would say yes. He is more than no. So that's beside the point. But we got a merch sale, shop.azsportsnashville.com. Everything must go.
DeMarco asks, is the long sleeve a dry fit? No, but they're so comfortable. Like the long sleeve shirts are incredible.
I mean, I wear these every single anybody that knows, I wear an A to Z Sports every day of during the week at least. They are very soft and they are wearable. So there you go.
All right, last super chat of the day. Kane says, A to Z, ask Vrabel, why is it so difficult for this team to acquire and keep players that will get us to a Super Bowl? Tired of the garage sale players to only replace them with players from Goodwill. Like, yeah, Kane, any reputable media members doesn't ask head coaches that question on a game week press conference. That's just not how the relationship works between coaches. That's an off-season question. It's just not going to be answered.
It's with any, you pick some players that work out, you pick some players that don't work out. What the Titans have got to fix, and I think this goes to kind of what Kane is saying, is they need to pick more, at least to this date, Peter Skoronskis and Jeffrey Simmons instead of Caleb Farley's and Rashawn Evans. That's what they've got. That's what Rand Carthon has to change.
My favorite, like Devin's making fun of him. My favorite thing is fans like, hey guys, why don't you ask Vrabel why he sucks? Like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do here. That's how that happens.
Well, do you see the James Franklin? This is from last week, but
yes.
That was funny. Why don't you just throw it up, coach? Like, just throw it up.
Like the topic was fine. The way the reporter asked the question was so awful.
And James Franklin answered the question exactly how James Franklin should have.
I don't like
James.
I don't like James Franklin.
I know you don't like James Franklin, but that was good. That was a very candid, fierce response.
He also, if James Franklin had a good relationship with that reporter, I don't think he would have done him like that.
Yeah, that was a dumb question. Questions. Questions deserve dumb answers.
Yes, but clearly the reporter was struggling with how to phrase it. If Franklin knew what he was trying to ask.
The reporter kept digging a hole, deeper.
Oh no, for sure. And the reporter came out and said, like, I was terrible. That was my fault. But if James Franklin had a good relationship with that guy, then he would have been like, I get what you're trying to say. Look, here's how we do our offense.
But you also know sometimes you catch coaches on certain days where it doesn't matter if you have a good, bad. It doesn't matter. The coach is going to get in those moods. It's the moods. It's the coaching mood swings. Yes. Vrabel, when he was asked this question that we had, he was in a pretty good mood, absolutely. But you sometimes come in there and Vrabel is not in that absolutely type mood, and you can't do it.
You get MF'd for going on the third field 5 times for doing nothing wrong, which is what happened to me 5+ years ago.
Never forget. You will never forget that. That was was a day.
Yeah, hell of a day. Hell of a day. All right, Zach, let's go ahead and get to the Monday age game here on the show. I will go ahead and hide the chat from my view. We've talked a long time about Titans trade conversations. We'll have a lot of good topics throughout the week, but time for the Monday age game. But real quick, shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon and go say hey to our friend Payne Bone. They do a fantastic job helping you out with your new ride, or check them out, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. So, Zach, age game time.
Well, speaking of Mr. Mike Vrabel, that leads me right into our age game. So here's how the age game works. I'm going to ask a question. How old is blank? And the first person in the chat to get it is our champion of the week. Austin will have some time. He will not look at any chats. He will have to figure this out on his own. You have to get it correct. There's no 2-year filler. You got to get right on the money. So over the weekend, Mike Vrabel was not in Nashville. He was actually in New England with his old buddy, Robert Kraft. How old is Robert Kraft? You see him right there with the Hall of Fame, the Ring of Honor, however you want to call it. Mike Vrabel had himself a red jacket, a nice little Hall of Fame red jacket for the New England Patriots franchise. How old is Robert Kraft? Robert Kraft got a little bit of coin. I'll tell you Robert Kraft's worth.
Net worth?
His net worth is quite a bit of money. It is $11.1 billion. $billion. How old is Robert Kraft?
Which means he has a lot of money to help himself look younger. Oh, let's see here. How old is Bob Kraft? Okay, let's see here. Look, that chair next to him, I'm guessing, was for Vrabel to sit down in because they hung out, all day long yesterday. I'm going to guess Robert Kraft. I'm going to say 86. 86 is my guess.
An experienced older gentleman right there at 86. Let's go to the chat. Again, how the chat works. It's got to be quick on the trigger. You got to be quick, but you can't hurry.
Yeah.
And
who said that?
John Wooden.
There you go.
I still.
You didn't get my old John Wooden quote from a couple weeks ago, but you got that. You're on that.
What was that?
I don't remember.
All right. First one to get it right is our champion of this week's age game. We've got Jabu going with 36. That is incorrect. So honestly, this is the first real guess because Jabu, see, here's the problem with Jabu. Jabu hurried. He wasn't quick. He said 46. He said 36. He said 24. And then he said 59 before we got to any real guesses. Don't hurry, Jabu. Don't do that. Be quick. Be nimble. Be fast. Our first real true guess got it correct. And Austin, it was not you. You were off by 4 years. Paul Sawyer gets it in our first guess as 82 years young is Robert Kraft. And I mean, we don't even have to go down the line. Our girl Liz got it a couple of times later, but Paul, you are our champion. 82 first guess. Very impressive from Paul right there. 82 is the correct answer.
That was very fast. Very good. Nice job, Paul. So yeah, I say 86 as a compliment to Mr. Kraft because he looks great for. I was thinking that he.
Well, with $11.1 billion, you should look good.
I was trying to go over because I think he looks younger than 86, but I thought that was because of cosmetic reasons. But hey, pretty good.
And you know what, Paul? As the winner, we're going to give you 40% off of all of our merch if you want a shirt. All right, Paul? Since you are the champion, we'll give you 40% off. We're having a fire sale. Go get you a hat. 40% off for our champion, Paul Sawyer. So a
nice
little golf
job.
clap right there.
Nice job, Paul. All right, guys, that'll do it for us here on this Monday. A quick heads up because of the Nashville game. We're going to be the bye week, the Titans have a little bit different schedule. So today is an off day for the Titans. So Titans at 2 with Sam will actually be tomorrow because Mike Vrabel has a press conference on Tuesday instead of Monday. But Buck Rising will be live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime at 8. He's got a report out there about Derrick Henry. Go check that out on our website, A2Zsports.com. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Appreciate it as always. Like the show before you head out of here. That's a big need for us. And go buy our stuff. See you guys later. Appreciate it as always.